All right, today's notes are all about the United States Constitution. That's what this whole chapter is about. And the first section is on the elements of the Constitution, which just means the parts of the Constitution. What are the different sections of the Constitution? All right, so the first part of the notes here says the Constitution is a basic framework for our national government. Remember, first off, the Constitution's our national government. We'll get into state government later this year. But it says the Constitution is a basic framework. And I put a picture of a house up there just to kind of remind you of what that means. If you frame a house, the house isn't ready to live in. You can see by that picture there. The house, it has its skeleton. You can tell that it's going to be a house. You can tell, what's going to go in there, but it isn't finished. It's not livable. It needs more work. And that's how our Constitution is. Just like that house needs walls added, electric added, a roof put on, our Constitution, it gives us the idea of how to build a good government and what freedoms we should defend, but it's not just a list of all of our laws. It's not a list of everything our country does to keep us safe. It just is a framework that says how we could go about doing that. Because it isn't just a straight list of everything that our government does and everything that our government has ever done. It's very short, actually. It's only 7,400 words, which might sound long to us, but that's just the length of a section of a newspaper. And it's very straightforward. It doesn't have a lot of extra detail in it, a lot of extra words. It just gets straight to the point, and that way we can interpret it and add onto it as we see fit as the years go by. An example would be the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment simply says we have the right to bear arms. When the Constitution was written, we had muzzle loaders. Today, we have tons of different types of guns. The Second Amendment doesn't say that we have the right to muzzle loaders. It says we have the right to bear arms. This allows us to add different kinds of weapons throughout history and not have to keep amending the Constitution for every new weapon we create. What this does is it allows our Constitution to be a living document, and in doing so, it allows it to adapt to a world that is completely different than the one that was around in 1787. All right, going over to the next slide. This one I just put on here to mainly show you that it says here that the Constitution is only 4,500 words long. And I think what this slide is doing that I found on another website is not adding in the amendments. But either way, what I just wanted to point out is when taking these notes, you don't have to be so specific that you say it has 7,400 words or 4,500 words. You just have to know mainly that the Constitution is not a super long document. I also put this up here to show you how our Constitution is the oldest Constitution still in use today, well over what other countries normally have. And so now we get to the three parts of the Constitution. You can see the three parts of the Constitution there in yellow. The first part is called the Preamble. It is the opening paragraph of the Constitution. It is only 52 words long. That's what we will be looking at mainly today, what we will be studying more in depth. The second part of the Constitution are the Articles. There are 7 articles in our Constitution. It is the main body of the Constitution. This is where you find the structure. This is the framework, actually. This is where you would find the details of our legislative, executive, and judicial branches, as well as how federalism works. The final part of the Constitution are the amendments that were added after the Constitution was ratified. These are what allow our government to be flexible and endure through time, as I showed in the last example from the Second Amendment. So now on specifically to the Preamble. The Preamble is the beginning of the Constitution. It's the first section, the first 52 words. And what the Preamble does for us is it gives an introduction to the Constitution. And in doing so, the first 3 words, which you can see here are "we the people," set up what's called a republican government. Now, a Republican government has nothing to do with political parties and Republicans and Democrats. What a Republican government means is we have a republic, and we had that in the last 2 units ago. A republic means we elect our leaders, and then they do all the work for us. So we're talking here about, by us seeing that we have this idea of we the people, this is our government. This is the people's government. How is it our government? It's our government because we vote for our leaders. Now, we let them do all the work for us, but it is our government because we vote them into office. Another way to say this is we have popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty is the idea that the people have the power. Anytime you see the word popu or the prefix of a word popu, it deals with people. Population means people live there. Popular, people like you. Sovereignty means you have power over yourself. You are your own boss. So popular sovereignty just means the people have the power. This all comes out through the first three words of the Constitution. We the people. This is our government. We vote in our leaders. They do what we say. And another thing that we the people does is it told people right away this new government was not a confederation. Power would not be held by the states as it was in the Confederacy. Power would be held by the people. The people would be in charge of this government through their right to vote for their leaders in this republic. And the final slide here is over specifically the preamble and what it says. The preamble is the introduction to the Constitution. It tells us what is coming up, but what is coming up are 6 goals we have for our country, and the Constitution's framework is going to allow us to meet these 6 goals. All of these 6 goals are really ideas that come from the weaknesses in the Articles of Confederation that we've already studied. We know that the Articles were a bad government. They didn't give us a strong government that could solve our problems. So the 6 goals laid out in the preamble are the 6 things we need to do to make our country succeed. If we don't meet these 6 goals, we probably aren't the country we are today. Luckily for us, we did. The 6 goals of the Constitution are to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. We're going to do a group assignment now where you will want to make sure you understand what these goals mean, why we needed these goals, and then how we have fixed them. You can add any of that information to your notes to use on the test, but that's what we're going to do right now.